Communications, Cable TV Channel 8 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99, and it's being recorded to be rebroadcast on the following Wednesday at 8 a.m. and on Saturday following the first rebroadcast at 1 p.m. on Charter Channel 71 and Comcast Channel 25. Meetings can also be viewed from the city's website, www.cityofcapitola.org. Our technician tonight is Lynn Dunton. Thank you very much for broadcasting tonight. And as a reminder, please turn off your cell phones during the meeting and sign your name on the sheet if you come up to speak and you'd like your name in the record and spelled correctly. So may we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Termini.
Here.
Councilmember Bertrand.
Here.
Councilmember Bottorff.
Here.
Mayor Harlan.
Here. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a presentation tonight, a wonderful, wonderful presentation of our Herb Ross Community Achievement Award. Very, very special award. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and the many guests tonight. It gives me great privilege and an honor to be here tonight before everybody to introduce and to recognize Sergeant Cliff Sloma as our 2017 Herb Ross Community Achievement Officer of the Year Award, the recipient of that award for 2017. And I'll ask Sergeant Cliff Sloma to come up with me to the podium while I read you. I think it's only appropriate that I talk a little bit about Sergeant Herb Ross himself and why this award is named after him. He was a member of the Capitola Police Department from 1973 until 2001, retired as a sergeant with the police department. Had a very prestigious and a very honorable career here in Capitola, and I've come to learn that myself in talking with many of the officers and others on the police department. Herb was very much committed to from the start of his career in the early 70s, now think about this, to youth intervention programs, to connecting the community with the police department, and then the police department with kids, which is so vitally important. And he was doing a lot of that work at the start of his career through the 70s and 80s, way before it became, with a lot of creativity, before it became kind of the norm in police department and law enforcement across the U.S. And so he was well recognized throughout his career as being committed to those valuable programs that benefit the community, the police department, and the entire city of Capitola. Things such as the DARE program, Neighborhood Watch, Capitola Police Department's Explorer program, and even the New Year's Eve ride program that will be going forward with this New Year's Eve, as we've done for many years. And so it is very important that I talk about Herb a little bit, and then that I also say, many of you know this, and some may not know this, equally as important, is that Herb Ross was Councilmember Kristen Peterson's grandfather. And so it's equally special this evening that I mentioned that. And I want to get right into this award and talk a little bit about why Sergeant Sloma was selected for this award for 2017. Sergeant Cliff Sloma began his career with the Capitola Police Department as a reserve police officer in May of 1992. In August of 94, Sergeant Sloma was hired as a community service officer and worked for 3 years until he was selected to attend the police academy in February of 1985. 1995, thank you, Cliff. That homegrown officer that we care so much about here in Capitola, Cliff is an example of that. Attended the academy in February of 1995, and 10 years later, Sergeant Sloma was promoted to his current rank of police sergeant with the Capitola Police Department. Sergeant Sloma has held many assignments during his 25-year career with the police department, including field training officer, motor officer, detective, firearms instructor, defensive tactics instructor, impact weapons instructor. In addition to his extensive duties as a patrol sergeant, Sergeant Sloma oversees our police training officer program and our in-service training program. Sergeant Sloma is the coordinator for the Santa Cruz County Training Managers Group and has been intimately involved in the training of law enforcement officers from throughout Santa Cruz County. Additionally, Sergeant Sloma has been a staff member at Cabrillo College, serving as an adjunct instructor in the Cabrillo College Administration of Justice program. He was selected by California Police Officer Standards and Training as a member of its Training Advisory Committee and has worked on several statewide projects and committees, recognized as a subject matter expert in police training practices and protocol. Sergeant Sloma is a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy, Class 252, and a graduate of the Sherman Block Supervisory Leadership Institute, Class 364. In his tenure as a supervisor, Sergeant Sloma has been instrumental in the mentoring and development of all members of police department staff and support components. Sergeant Sloma understands the importance of volunteerism and charitable giving. For many years, he has participated in our countywide Police in Pursuit program and numerous Tip-A-Cop events, all of which raise money for the Special Olympics. He is also an assistant scoutmaster of the Boy Scouts of America, Troop 504, and a current board member for the CapitolaCA Chamber of Commerce. For his outstanding commitment to the City of Capitola and the Capitola Police Department, it's with great honor that I present and introduce Sergeant Cliff Sloma as being selected as the 2017 recipient of the Herb Ross Community Achievement Award Officer of the Year. Congratulations, Cliff. You're more than welcome to step up to the podium.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, family and friends and coworkers for all of your support. There's very few people that are left that have worked with her here at the police department.
Linda, do you have the microphone?
There's very few people who are still around that actually had the opportunity to work with Herb, and I'm one of them. And I know his commitment to this city and his commitment to his community and to our police department. So I'm very honored and humbled to accept the award in his name. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And from all of us, we thank you, and we are honored that you have done such a fabulous job for so many years in the city of Capitola. It's hard to imagine doing all of those things. The list is very, very long and very extensive. And thank you very much. Thanks for all your great work. We really appreciate it. Thank you. We next go to our regular business and a report on the closed session from the city attorney, please.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Harlan, members of the City Council. This evening's closed session convened at 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers. There were two items on the closed session agenda. The first was liability claims. One claim involving claimant Gray Smith. That item is also listed in your open session agenda as item 10A on your consent calendar. Second item was an item of pending litigation in the matter of Water Rock Construction versus the City of Capitola. Council received a report from the City Attorney's Office. There was no reportable action.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional materials tonight?
We distributed for item 9A the recommendations from the Art and Cultural Commission for their appointments.
Thank you. Yes, we got that. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Staff has no changes.
And this is the time for public comments. If anyone would like to come up and address us on any issue not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, please wait till we get to it, and you're more than welcome to speak at that time, even though it's not a public hearing. So this is for anything else you'd like to talk to us about. Good evening. Good evening. And welcome.
Thank you. Mayor and City Council members, I'm Martina O'Sullivan, a 35-year resident of Capitola, and I am here tonight as co-chair of Second Harvest Food Bank Holiday Food Drive. And I'm here to do two things. One, to really thank you for the efforts that the council certainly participated in last year, and also the employees in raising or having a few barrels available for employees to bring in food for those in this community who really do suffer from food insecurity. It is indeed a reality, and it's considering where we live, it might be difficult for us to understand why that is. However, just as a result of the work that was done through the council and the employees in Capitola, there were 1,376 people that benefited from your efforts. And so I'm here to say thank you about this. This is a very special time countywide where we do have an opportunity to recognize what our neighbors, what our relatives perhaps, sometimes what we have had the opportunity to go through and have gotten out of that. So I really say thank you for what you've done. I ask that certainly you all continue that good work and really even in a way of generating the kind of responsible community that Capitola is. Set your goals high this year because the need is definitely there. There'll be about 56,000 individuals in this county total that will be benefiting. I'm done, I guess.
If you want to say something else, you're welcome to.
Again, this is something I did offer Jamie and Larry as well, is that I would be very happy to come and do some individual spirit work, I call it, to help people along in this effort.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. It's so important. There's a food pantry on my street, and the neighbors fill it up, and a few days later, it's empty.
Yeah.
And then people fill it up, and then a few days later, it's empty.
It is
and it's
a reality.
Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. People really need it and use it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So thank you
Thank
so
you.
very much.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak? Then we'll go on to we're going to go on to the council reorganization, and then we'll have the comments after that. So number 7, council reorganization. This is a time when we switch hats and we get a new mayor and a new vice mayor. And so it's pretty straightforward. I'll open it up for nominations for the mayor.
I'd like to nominate Mike Termini as the mayor for 2018.
Second. Any discussion? Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. The hat is passed. The hat is passed. Very good. Thank you.
See how easy that happens? We'll now move on to nominations for vice mayor. Are there any nominations for vice mayor?
I'd like to nominate Councilmember Bertrand.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a nomination and a second. Any other nominations? In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Mayor. Very
Okay.
good.
Thank you for your support.
We'll now go on to city council, or not city council, but staff comments. Anything?
Staff has no comments this evening.
Mr. Very Natty Treasurer, do you have any comments?
Wait till you see my Ramadan robe.
On that note.
So, a couple of quick comments. First of all, if anybody's been trying to get a hold of the treasurer's office by email since I've been elected, there's been an incredible spam filter that eliminated even the state treasurer's office from getting in touch with me. That hopefully is fixed by now, so your emails will be received. The reason I tried to get a hold of the state treasurer's office was, you might recall, we talked about investment policy and trying to expand our portfolio to include equities and getting better interest rates. I finally got a definitive response from the manager of policy research at the state, at CDAC, Angelica Hernandez, and she says, even though the policy may seem like it's got some loopholes in it, in no uncertain terms, she says we are not allowed to invest in equities. So I'm going to take her at a word, and we'll continue to invest in bonds and CDs and more conservative instruments and not go forward with a change to the investment policy at this time. Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts. I know you put a lot of work into that, trying to make a little more money on our savings, and better luck next time. Council comments. Ed?
One quick announcement. Just want the citizens of Capitola to know that Ice Skate Capitola opens tomorrow in the Esplanade. It will be running from December 15th to January 7th. It's our first skating ring, and tickets will be $10 for a 2-hour session and $5 for ice skate rental. Everything's provided there. Come down and ice skate and look at the ocean.
Nice. Jacques? Nothing? Stephanie?
Next Monday, there's going to be a ribbon cutting for the 2nd anniversary of Sotola Restaurant down in the village. And those are the kind of things that are open to the public. They're open to everybody. And so they traditionally invite the council and the mayor and, to cut the ribbon. But everybody's welcome, and everybody's welcome to come. So that's Monday, 4 o'clock down in the village at Sotola. And if you don't know what that means, that was the name when Capitola wanted to join with Soquel and form a new city, and it was called Soquel-Tola. And so these people knew that history, I guess, and decided that was what our town was going to be called, Sotola. So that's where that name comes from. And let's see, Christmas next week, the museum's open all week. So if any of you have some visitors and some friends that come and visit, bring them to the museum. It's a great exhibit. We have some wonderful old videos. So if you want to see Audrey being interviewed at the theater, or you want to see Capitol in the 50s, or you want to see Capitol in the 30s or 40s, or you want to see old begonia festivals and old floats, we have lots of great old videos. So come in and visit us. Thank you.
Very good. Kristen?
I don't have any announcements, but I just want to take a brief moment to thank Councilmember Harlan for your service as mayor in this last year. Congratulations to our now Mayor Termini and Vice Mayor Bertrand, and really just to thank all of my fellow council members, the staff, and really everyone in the city for a wonderful first year on council, and I'm looking forward to the next.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move on to item, let's see, boards and commissions.
Staff meetings.
Oh, well, let's do that.
I figured your order was coming, but just a little something.
We have a special parting gift for you, but it has not arrived.
For our mayor who loves all things green.
Yes, she does.
Thank you.
I love and
Thank you. You don't want to come over to my house and see my garden. I use too much water, but it's getting better. But come over, any of you come over anytime and see my garden. It's really interesting.
And we'll have time at the end of the meeting for incoming vice mayor and outgoing mayor to make statements to the community. And we'll move on to boards and commissions and committee appointments. Do you want me to carry this on, or do you want to give a report?
I have.
We have slides.
We have slides. So the first item we have up is, as mentioned, we have a recommendation from the Art and Cultural Commission. And we're fortunate enough to have some late applications that helped fill our spots. Would you like to provide any information on the background of this, or shall I run with it?
We've been looking for an artist since Kim Hogan has resigned, and we've been looking for an art professional since Roy Johnson resigned 2 years ago. Roy let 2 years go by, and sure enough, his position was still open, so Roy came to us. We find that Mary Jo Connolly, who's been an at-large member for the last couple of years, we find that she is actually an accomplished artist that sells her work. She fits the bill as professional artist. We had Lori Hill reapply and Mary Beth Cahalan. So the two new applicants, Rick Gross and James Wallace, fill the other positions. We have a full Art and Cultural Commission if the council wishes to approve this.
So moved.
So, a second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry on.
Very good. Next up is the Finance Advisory Committee, and this begins with the council representatives. So I would like to know whether the mayor and vice mayor, who have been serving on this commission, would like to continue in those roles.
I can't imagine changing at this late day, Chuck. Okay.
Okay, so we will continue with those two, in which case the remaining 3 council members have 3 people to choose from. Paul Esty is a new applicant, but his family has a tradition in the FAC, and I know that previously Councilmember Botorff had appointed from that. So would you care to make the first appointment?
I will appoint Paul Estee to replace Bridget Estee.
Very good. And Will O'Sullivan was previously Councilmember Bertrand when he was a council member, not a sitting representative. So
I believe Stephanie Harlan picked up that nomination when Councilmember Bertrand took her place on the Finance Advisory Committee.
Okay.
So is Will good?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'd love
And
to reappoint him.
Oh, he just left.
Yeah.
And Marilyn Warder has been Councilmember Peterson's, and are you?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. And we have a change in our recommendation from the council. Tony Castro has been recommended by the chamber and is in fact head of the chamber. And if that is the council's pleasure, she will be appointed as the business representative.
Do you need a motion for that?
We can do consensus.
Consensus. You have it.
Very good. Next up is the Library Advisory Committee. These are individual council appointments. We have 6 applicants for 5 spots. The slide notes who the current council appointees are. So at this point, you can simply let me know if you wish to reappoint your representative or if you would like to make a change. So I'll just say work down. Councilmember Peterson.
I would like to reappoint my representative.
Councilmember Harlan.
Tony Campbell.
Yes, Tony Campbell.
Yes. Councilmember Bertrand.
Most definitely.
Councilmember Botorff.
I will be reappointing Ariel Gray, yes.
Yes. And Mayor Termini.
Gail Ortiz, yes.
Yes. And will you be continuing as the council's representative on this?
If it serves the pleasure of the council.
So moved by the council.
Done.
Yep. Second.
Carry on.
Excellent. And the last is the outside jurisdictions. This was distributed to the council. I have not heard that any of you have concerns about being able to continue in these positions. So unless there was a last-minute schedule change, we can simply move to continue with these appointments.
Does everyone feel good about what they're doing?
If anyone would like to be my alternate on integrated waste management, that would be fine. That would give you a little preview into what's going on with solid waste and food recycling and composting and all of those kind of things. It would be good for another council member to start learning about that because I'll be gone in a year.
Does anybody have an interest in solid waste? I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
My plate is full right now.
Your plate is full. Jacques, do you want to pick up solid waste?
I'll be glad to do that.
Okay, very good. Jacques Bertrand. He's the alternate.
I have no problem, believe me.
Okay, with that single change, we will go with council consensus on reappointments.
Yes.
Very good. We are done.
Just like that. We'll now move on to the consent calendar. These are items on our agenda that are usually taken with a single motion unless someone in the public would like to pull an item on the consent calendar. Does anyone from the public have an item on consent they'd like to pull? Seeing none, council, do you see any items you would like to pull?
Motion to adopt consent.
Is there a
calendar.
second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Consent is approved. We'll now move on to general government public hearings. And the first item is consider purchase of police communication infrastructure. And I believe we're getting a report by Larry?
Yeah, that's correct. And then Chief McManus
backing
will
up
be
by
here
the
too.
chief.
Yes, absolutely. For
Good
questions
backup.
and-
Excellent.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members. So we're here to talk about a couple of police infrastructure projects for communication and safety. The 2 projects are as the police radio transmitter and antenna relocation, as well as new computers in the police vehicles. The police radio relocation, right now, the equipment and the antenna are located on our public library. Our public library will cease to exist at some point in 2018, so we need to move it along to another location. We have looked at sites that we own, City Hall, Corporation Yard. Unfortunately, those sites are basically in valleys in this town, and they don't function as a transmitter. The transmitter has to cover the entire geographic, and we have to get as high as we can off the ground. And so the best, and actually at this point, what we found the only real option is the J Street Community Center. So we would propose moving that as it was proposed in the budget. We were moving the antenna and the equipment to the facility. the problem with the current radio equipment is no longer supported by the vendor, and it actually does need to replace, and that would need to be done regardless of the move. It's outdate, and the county radio shop has proposed equipment that is more standard what they're using now. It'll be replaced, the equipment at the transmitter site, which is going to be, if approved, will be at the Jade Street Community Center, and then we have 4 other receivers in different locations in the city. A new antenna will be installed at the community center. The work will be done by the county radio shop, who has kind of control, not control, but they help support all the radio infrastructure in the county. Currently, the configuration of our network solely relies on AT&T copper lines. Problem is, in the last few months, they have gone down multiple times, and our backup is using the sheriff's channel, and unfortunately, because of the location of their transmitter, we get, the police department gets very, very poor reception. It is not a good backup. The proposed solution we are talking about, and one of the reasons we're back here, is we've included a redundant connection between our transmitter and the 911 center. What that'll do is it'll allow both the use of the over-the-air communications as well as having the AT&T lines as a backup now. And that would allow, so what happens when they go down, there's no communication between the dispatch center and our police department, or it's very limited. And we're trying to alleviate some of that. And in addition to the redundancy in the connections, we are proposing to install a generator at the community center. It would be sized appropriately to run the entire community center if there was a power outage. That gives, obviously for an emergency shelter, that is a benefit for if needed, but it also allows for the police infrastructure to keep running during a power outage. The second project is basically an upgrade to the computers in the vehicles. This has been facilitated by a update to the countywide computer-aided dispatch center. That's how the 911 center basically sends the officers to calls. They, unfortunately, this was given to us after budget time. So what we found out is the vehicle computers we currently have in the cars are not supported. And this has been, we asked the 911 center folks to verify this, and they do not work with the new system. We are proposing, instead of what we currently have, we have computers in the trunk and monitors. We're proposing to move to laptops. That's a more standard configuration. Hopefully it allows for a little more flexibility in the vehicles because there's more and more equipment in there. They can move out of the way. They can make it much more individual as far as the configuration. Police staff has tested the system and likes the new system. And in addition, this is a more cost-effective solution than the fixed mount systems they're currently in the theater. All the marked vehicles are going to have the computers as well as the CSO trucks. The proposal will include, one of the big things is we can buy the computers, but we have to have them installed, and that's a very specialized skill that we have. We have an outfitter that is going to be installing them. One addition is the police command vehicle, I believe it's a Tahoe, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be outfitted as a command post. That's pretty standard. It wasn't done originally. It allows that vehicle to be used as kind of a mobile command center in an emergency situation. It will basically have radio communication in the back of the vehicle, the monitor that hooks up to the computer in the back of the vehicle, so command staff can see what's going on and communicate in that setting rather than having to be stuck up in the front, which is not an effective tool. And again, since they are laptops, but they will be secured in the vehicles. They have locks, and so we are addressing that situation. As I mentioned, during the budget hearings, council approved $100,000 for the radio project. Some of it was coming out of general fund, and some of it was coming out of the supplemental law enforcement funding. The required redundancy is necessitating an additional $30,000, which would basically fund the generator install. These funds are proposed to come out of the facility reserve fund. The police replacement project, is budgeted at $55,000, and the funds are planned to come from an additional piece of the supplemental law enforcement funding. And that's the end of my presentation.
Any questions of staff?
Mr. Mayor, there's just one point that I would add is that both of these are actually time critical.
Sorry.
We're going to be going live with the new CAD system coming up here this spring. We need to get the folks on board to install the new MDCs, the mobile computers, soon before the sheriff's contract starts, because that's going to eat up all their time. So that's why we're bringing this to you now. And then we also need the funding for the antenna transfer, just to make sure that we're, in the process of taking down the new library, that we have the new antenna up and running, so these things all sync up. So there is a time critical nature to this.
Question of staff? Jacques.
Yeah. So fully supportive of this. I know it's been coming. That's for sure. Little side question. How secure are our computer systems?
How secure
Yes.
as far as communications, or?
Well, I think you saw that with your proposal here, but in terms of hacking and outside.
They use specific connections. They are all encrypted. All traffic between the computers and the data 911 center are encrypted to the DOJ standard, which is very high. And the computers in the cars require passwords and are locked just like any other. They have encryption as well.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question for you. We have a generator right now at the library. Could we not just move that generator over to Jade Street?
We've talked with the generator folks, and it was difficult even to get it running at that place. This is not the first site it's been located, and in addition, it is a diesel generator,
right?
Which doesn't necessarily meet Air Board standards. Moving
and the new one is natural gas.
Natural gas, correct.
The quote includes all the plumbing involved.
Correct.
Do we have to pass this by the school district before we put an antenna on Jade Street?
I have discussed this with the superintendent. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about the generator. It's a new twist, but I have a call plan with him tomorrow.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone who has anything to say about this particular item, please step up to the podium. Seeing no one moving, we'll bring it back. Discussion, decision.
Motion to move staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Council. We'll move on to the next item, which is review of our Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, accomplishments. Staff. Sorry. Rich Greneau, our Community Development Director. Appropriate.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. As a condition of our Community Development Block Grant application and the funds we received, the city is required to formally close out our grant and send appropriate documents to the State Housing and Community Development Department. Yeah, I can't read that. So just to recap, we were awarded a $500,000 CDBG grant in 2014. That funding provided monies to fund our housing rehabilitation program and our homebuyer assistance programs. As the council recalls, our housing rehabilitation program provides funding for income-eligible households to make necessary home repairs, typically health and safety or energy efficiency upgrades. And the funding is provided either through deferred low-interest loans or grants up to $7,500. The Homebuyer Assistance Program used to be called the First-Time Homebuyer Program. However, it's no longer required that it be a first-time homebuyer to participate, but it offers financial assistance to income-eligible applicants to purchase a home here in Capitola. The funding for that program is provided through a deferred low-interest silent second loan. So out of the $500,000 grant, we spent a little over $319,000 on our rehab program, an additional $75,000 on our homebuyer assistance program, $65,000 on activity delivery by the Housing Authority, and nearly $35,000 on general administration. We were left remaining with about $5,600 that will be returned to the state. Overall, these funds allowed us to assist 8 low-income households with our housing rehab program and an additional household to purchase a home here in Capitola. Just a few examples of the work that was funded through these programs. This is one of our rehab projects. It was in Cabrillo Mobile Home Park. The project involved replacing an old dilapidated mobile home with a new coach at the cost of $127,500. The picture on the left is the pre-existing condition, and the mobile home on the right is the new coach that was purchased through the program. Just a couple shots of the interior of this old coach. You can see that they got a new kitchen.
Nice refrigerator.
In the living room, they had a leaky roof, and they had buckets all over the floor catching rainwater. We were able to fix that problem so they could have a dry living environment. And the bathroom was in pretty bad shape as well. It had a leaky shower that was using a tarp or plastic sheathing to control the leaks, and an inoperable toilet. So we were able to put in a new shower, new toilets, and associated fixtures. We did another rehab project in Castle. This one was repairs to an existing coach, involved doing roof repairs, painting, new windows, HVAC improvements, electricity, flooring, plumbing, and bathroom improvements for $93,400. Again, just a couple before and after pictures. One of the key things we did was provide a new ADA accessible shower for this person who happened to be a senior citizen, and then new kitchen upgrades as well. And then the home buyer assistance project that we completed involved a $75,000 loan to assist a low-income single-parent household to purchase one of our dedicated inclusionary units in Capitola Beach Villas. I think in the past we've talked about how difficult it is to actually make this program work, because the gap between the home price today and what somebody can afford is really difficult to cover under the program guidelines. Our experience has been it usually only works with a mobile home or an inclusionary unit. So this one worked really well because we had a below market rate unit. This person was able to leverage the monies that we offered them to get into a new home. And so our recommendation this evening is for you to direct staff to submit our final reports to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and to close out the 2014 grant. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of staff? Jacques?
So I was very impressed with the list of things that this program has accomplished for Capitola residents. And I have to wonder, how do the residents in Capitola find out about the availability of these funds that they might take advantage of?
So when we initiated the program, we publicized it pretty widely. We kind of used a lot of our standard mediums, put it on the scroll, our newsletter, information on the website. We also did mailers to every mobile home park owner and all of our inclusionary units, places that we thought would have the populations that would be interested in the programs. And the interest is overwhelming. We actually had over 100 people on our waiting list. We didn't get through nearly any of those. The good news is that we're hoping to get another grant here next year. We'll have a waiting list ready to go. Our program is set up, and hopefully we'll be able to move very swiftly to start helping those people that have been waiting.
Okay. And one other question. Can you explain how we go about the grant process, and do we have enough staff to completely support that process?
We do. We use a consultant that helps us prepare the grant applications and do some of the administrative work between us and the state. The Housing Authority has been a long-time partner with the city to do a lot of the brass tacks type of work. They go out, they hire the contractors, they bid the projects, they work with the homeowners to define their scope of work. So the amount of staff time involved overall is very manageable.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? It's a public hearing. Anyone in the audience like to approach the podium and speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to council.
Step report.
Stephanie?
This is an extremely valuable program. This is just a wonderful program, and I really hope we can get some more funds for it. It is, I mean, those people don't have the funds to fix up their home. So whatever we can do is just fabulous, wonderful, wonderful. I thought I heard something that those funds might be on the chopping block federally.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. You know,
There's money secured for next year. Beyond that, it's in
Okay.
doubt.
Then I hope we get it, because this is the kind of housing stock we need to keep. We need to keep people here. We need to help them rehab their homes. We have so many old mobile homes in this county and other people that are living in their homes that need help. So I fully support this, and I'll move the staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll move on to our next item, which is reauthorization of an ordinance implementing the provisions for the Digital Infrastructure and Video Competition Act. Is this the city manager? Oh, Larry's taking
yes,
this too.
I was hoping to
Lovely.
get to say that at least once, but thank you.
There must be an acronym for that.
DIVCA.
DIVCA.
Done. Yeah.
So
You had to ask.
this is reauthorization of an ordinance we have. So I'll give you a little history. The DIVCA ordinance was passed by the state of California in 2006. It basically took the franchising of video from the local jurisdictions to the state level. They're issued for 10-year terms. We recently found out that Charter Communications had been issued a new 10-year franchise by the state beginning January 2nd of next year. We approved our DIVCA ordinance in 2008, which required any video franchise by the state, if they operate in Capitola, to pay public education and government fees, PEG fees. PEG fees are used to purchase video equipment, to purchase the equipment to broadcast these meetings. Those are government. But one interesting piece of the DIVCA legislation that a lot of us and a lot of jurisdictions found out about is that DIVCA requires that cities reauthorize their existing ordinance when the franchisee gets a new contract. So that's why we're here today. We want to make sure that they continue to collect the PEG support fees. In order to do that, we propose that we are going to approve, asking you to approve an urgency reauthorization ordinance, and then we'd have the first reading of the standard reauthorization ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so if you have any questions, I'm available this time.
And just so we know the reason this is an emergency ordinance, it has to be done before the end of the year, or we risk losing our PEG funds.
They would not be under any obligation to collect PEG funds until the ordinance went into effect.
Got it. Questions? Comments from the audience? The public? Then we'll bring it back to the council.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever get any feedback from the channels, but I think they just dropped KTVU Channel 2 at 5 o'clock news. And I was not very happy about that. Because sometimes I watch that. The local San Francisco news, when they're having the Bay Area fires, we want to watch that local news. They had it on, and then they dropped it. But then they have Channel 2 news on at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or something like that at night. They have like the rebroadcast at the 5 o'clock news. So, I'll check into that, but I would just be curious whether other people they're getting their favorite channels or other channels dropped, and whether they're contacting us at all. Probably not, because we just haven't had any authority or anything to do anything with them for so long. But, I really think this is a good time to, wake up everybody. And are you happy with the service? Is there any way we can interact with them and get a better relationship with them so that we can have talk about some of these things if there's some of these things that come up for us and, for our constituents.
Jacques?
Are these monies available to other civic organizations like the school district, the broadcast meetings?
I believe it. Since we collect it, it's for, like, if they were to broadcast in this facility, that would be part of what it is for
How
use.
about a different facility like the new performance center?
Well, we're set up here for public meetings, and that's the whole idea of PEG funds for public
Right.
meetings. We've offered it to the school district as a place to meet, and they have declined numerous times to have live meetings.
Okay.
But if they broadcast somewhere else and they're paid for their time to go somewhere else and take a camera and record it, but then they can't record it live, they have to take it back to the studio and then put it in and play it.
Just so the PEG funds can only be used for equipment and maintenance of the equipment.
Right.
They cannot be used for the paying people to actually do the broadcast.
Okay. Can some of these funds be used to install equipment on school property, SoCal School District?
I don't know at this. I don't know. If that's the
It
case.
might be, but again, they have
We have-
declined
Yeah, they're
live
completely
video
out of
meetings
this.
completely because they would also have to pay for the employees,
Yes.
and we can't get any traction there trying to help. They could move their meetings to here, which is much more comfortable than the little room that they hold it in.
Well, maybe we should have letter writing campaign to the school district to broadcast their meetings live.
We'll bring it up at the next Breakfast Club.
Please do, because the water district didn't used to, and then after public outcry, they broadcast their meetings, which are watched by quite a few people.
Got
So
it.
that would be a great idea. I mean, it's 2017, folks.
And speaking of 2017 and the technology,
Yes.
we have yet, after 20 years, been able to get Charter/Spectrum to provide a live feed to Comcast so that anyone can see our meetings live.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And they have
Bring that
told
up
us for
again.
20 years the technology was not available, and you and I both know it is.
Let's bring it up again.
We can
Twist
bring it
their
up,
arm.
and that, now that community TV has moved their location, maybe some of those impediments are no longer there. So we
I like it.
can definitely bring it up.
Very good. A motion?
Motion to approve staff recommendation.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm sorry, who was the
Passes.
second? John, thank you.
Passes unanimously. And now, Madam Mayor, some farewell comments from the center seat.
I don't have much to say. It's been a very interesting year, and I hope next year will be very productive, and that we will form a committee, that is Councilmember Bertrand's suggestion, to start working on the mall and to have a conversation with the community. What do you want to see there? I want to see a community center there. I want to see some kind of room that we can rent and use and borrow and just bring people over there for activities and some sort of community activities. I think that would be great to have over there. We have Jade Street and we have this, we have the senior center, but we're going to have a nice new mall. It'd be great to have a meeting room over there where people could use it for sewing bees or knitting things or library activities or community meetings or city meetings or parties or whatever we want, but just have another community meeting space. We need it. That Abbott Square in Santa Cruz is magical. It's neat, inside and outside. It's a nice day. You can sit outside and listen to music, and you can sit inside and go from the various stations to have this kind of food and that kind of food and that kind of food and oysters or a bar or beer or vegetarian food or a pizza or coffee. It's a nice community space, and I would really like to see something like that at the mall.
How about
We
the
need
Mercantile?
a Mercantile would be fabulous, to have a community meeting place where people can go and hang out that's not a bar, and there can be music and community activities and art and all kinds of things. And I'd really love to work on that in the future. It's a long-range plan, but that's what I'd really like to see is we need something like, we have Gales, we have the Village, we have 41st Avenue, but, more of a community gathering place. We have the Esplanade, but something like, that Abbott Square is just so neat. It's just, for tourists and locals, you can just go there by yourself or go there with, hang out with friends or meet people there. It's just nice. It's going to be a nice space for the future. I like that.
Madam Mayor, thank you for your service this last year. You are truly the Energizer Bunny. You keep coming back.
Yes.
And you are a great
Yes.
mayor
Thank you.
always.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Bertrand, do you have any words of wisdom taking the
Words
the
of
mantle?
wisdom, I do not. But
otherwise,
thank you very much. Not that I can't give words of wisdom, but thank you for the confidence this board has given me and choosing me as the vice mayor. I greatly appreciate that. Certainly, with all humility, it's a learning experience. So we'll see what happens in this next year. Former Mayor Harlan did suggest something or bring out something that I've been thinking about, and so I was going to talk about my ideas after the first year. But I did happen to take you to Abbott Square, and you didn't know what it was. And the reason why I want to take her there and suggest maybe others who haven't seen that, it does sort of expand your idea of what a public space can be. And a public space such as Abbott Square has quickly formed into a center for downtown Santa Cruz. It's truly amazing. A lot of events take place there. It's free-flowing during the day, and there's organized things. There's a little place in the back where you could actually have meetings. It's truly amazing. And I think with some effort, we might get some conversations like that going in Capitola.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson, anything to say? Nothing? You're good?
Nothing to add.
Councilmember Bottorff?
Congratulations to the new mayor and vice mayor, and I want to thank the mayor for a nice job of running meetings for 2017.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll take the prerogative of the last word, and what I'm looking forward to in this next year is just the usual that Capitola has become known for, and that's respectful, deliberate, and decisive meetings. And we always leave a meeting, regardless of our differences of opinion, we always leave the meeting not only as colleagues, but as friends. And it's good. No doors get slammed in Capitola. And not to be outdone by my friend, the treasurer. And all of you who have watched these meetings, I shed my Hawaiian shirt once a year for this meeting. And I'll take it a step further because as mayor, I will close this meeting in a manner to which I'd like to become accustomed.
Oh, no.
And so, as the mayor, I would like to say good night, Capitola, and remember, be nice to each other. Meeting adjourned.